Am I the bleep bleep for asking my neighbor to stop parking in front of my house when they have space in their own driveway? I live on a quiet residential street where most houses have driveways and plenty of parking space. My house has a driveway that fits my car, but I like to keep the spot in front of my house clear for guests or for times when I need to quickly load or unload things. Lately, my new neighbor has been parking their car directly in front of my house instead of using their driveway. What makes it frustrating is that their driveway is completely empty most of the time. They only own one car. Meanwhile, their car sits in front of my house for days, making it harder for me to park there when I need to. At first, I let it slide because it's technically a public street and they aren't breaking any laws. But after a few weeks, it started to feel inconsiderate. I decided to bring it up politely. I knocked on their door and asked if they could park in their driveway instead of in front of my house. They seemed surprised and said, I didn't think it was a problem since it's public parking. I explained that while it's true, it's inconvenient for me because I often have guests. They said they'd try to keep it in mind, but the car was back in the same spot the next day. Frustrated, I brought it up again, and this time they got defensive, saying, You don't own the street, and I can park wherever I want. I told them that while they can park there, it feels unnecessary when they have a perfectly usable driveway. They brushed me off, and now we're not on great terms. Some of my friends think I'm overreacting and should just let it go since it's a public street. So, am I the bleep bleep for asking my new neighbor to stop parking in front of my house? Am I the bleep bleep for calling out my sister after she ruined Thanksgiving dinner by insisting on making a dish she couldn't cook? I, 29 female, come from a family where Thanksgiving is a big tradition. My mom usually hosts, and we all contribute dishes to make it a special day. This year, my younger sister, 27 female, wanted to take on a bigger role in the meal. She's not exactly known for her cooking skills. She once set off the smoke alarm making toast, but she was determined to handle the turkey this year because she wanted to prove she could do it. I had my doubts, as did the rest of the family, but she was adamant. My mom even offered to guide her, but my sister said she had it all under control. She watched a few YouTube videos and kept saying, How hard can it be? Fast forward to Thanksgiving Day. My sister shows up late with the turkey still raw. She claimed it just needed a little more time in the oven. We waited an hour, then two. Finally, it became clear the turkey wasn't going to happen. While the rest of us scrambled to throw together side dishes and thaw some frozen chicken, my sister sat on the couch, scrolling on her phone. When I asked why she didn't check the turkey earlier, she got defensive and said, At least I tried. No one appreciates my effort. At that point, I snapped. I told her that Thanksgiving isn't the time for experiments, and that if she didn't know how to cook something as important as the turkey, she should have let someone else handle it. She called me a control freak and stormed out. The rest of the family is split. My father agrees with me, saying my sister was irresponsible, while my mom and siblings think I was too harsh and should have just let it go since it was only one meal. Now my sister isn't speaking to me, and my mom says I should apologize to keep the peace. But I can't help feeling like I was justified. Am I the bleep bleep for calling her out? Am I the bleep bleep for cooking only for myself and my kids and not my husband? I, 37 female, have been married to my husband, 40 male, for 12 years. We have two sons, ages 8 and 5, and for most of our marriage, I've been the one handling all the cooking. I didn't mind it at first. I actually enjoy cooking, but lately, I've decided to stop cooking for my husband and focus only on meals for myself and the kids. Now he's upset, and I'm wondering if I'm the bad guy here. My husband never helps in the kitchen. Like, ever. I'm the one doing the meal planning, the grocery shopping, the cooking, and the cleaning afterward. He'll sit on the couch or scroll on his phone while I'm juggling dinner and making sure the kids don't set the house on fire. When I've asked him to help, he either laughs it off and says he's hopeless in the kitchen or acts like it's such a huge inconvenience. On top of that, he's super picky. Over the years, I've lost count of how many times he's turned his nose up at what I made. He doesn't outright say, "This sucks," but it's always something like, "Oh, I'm not in the mood for this," or "Why didn't you make X instead?" If I ever ask him what he'd like for dinner, he just shrugs and says, "I don't know." But he's quick to critique when the food isn't exactly what he wants. Meanwhile, I've been trying to eat healthier and get the kids on board with better eating habits too. We've been doing more veggies, lean proteins, and whole grains. My husband, he'd rather have takeout, frozen pizza, or a big bowl of mac and cheese. I can't keep making two completely different meals every night. It's exhausting. The final straw came a few weeks ago. I'd made a really nice dinner for all of us, grilled chicken, roasted veggies, and he just picked at it and then went to the fridge to grab leftovers from the night before. No comment, no thank you, nothing. I felt so unappreciated. So, I made a decision. From now on, I'm only cooking for myself and the kids. If my husband wants to eat, he can either have what we're having or figure it out himself. At first, he didn't say much, but now he's making passive-aggressive comments like, "Guess I'm not part of the family anymore," or "You don't care about me." I've told him he's always welcome to eat what I make, but he keeps saying I'm being selfish and neglecting him. I feel torn. On one hand, I'm tired of bending over backward to cook for someone who doesn't appreciate it. On the other hand, I know it's a pretty big change, and I don't want to be petty or create tension in the house. So, am I wrong for deciding not to cook for my husband anymore and just focus on meals for me and the kids? Am I the bleep bleep for criticizing my friend's choice of her husband? I, 21 female, have a close friend. Let's call her Emma, 22 female, who recently got married to a guy. From the beginning, I had my reservations about him. He's significantly older than her, in his mid-30s, doesn't seem to have his life together, and has a bit of a reputation for being unreliable in past relationships. At first, I kept my thoughts to myself because I didn't want to seem judgmental or unsupportive. However, over time, I noticed things that really started to bother me. He's dismissive of Emma's feelings, rarely contributes when we're all out together, and seems more interested in himself than in her. One night, Emma was venting to me about some things he had done that upset her. She said she felt unappreciated and like she was doing all the work in their relationship. I tried to comfort her, but also pointed out that maybe this wasn't the healthiest relationship for her. I said something along the lines of, "You deserve someone who treats you better and puts in the same effort you do." Emma got defensive and accused me of not supporting her or her choices. She said I was being unfair and that I didn't know him like she does. Since then, she's been distant and hasn't been as open with me. I feel bad because I don't want to ruin our friendship, but I also feel like I wouldn't be a good friend if I stayed silent while she might be heading into a toxic relationship. Am I the bleep bleep? Am I the bleep bleep for lashing out at my younger sister after she fell for a scam and made her cry? I have a younger sister who recently fell for what I think is one of the most obvious scams ever. She got a message on social media claiming she had won a huge cash prize. The catch was that she needed to send a few $100s up front as a processing fee to claim her winnings. I thought everyone knew this kind of thing was a scam, but apparently she didn't. She was really excited and believed it was real, so without talking to me, our parents, or anyone else, she sent the money. When she told me what had happened and showed me the messages, it was obvious to me that the whole thing was fake. The language was full of typos, and the promises were way too good to be true. To make it worse, the scammers had ghosted her immediately after she sent the money. She realized then that she had been tricked. I was furious when she told me. I asked her why she didn't talk to anyone before making such a big decision, especially since she worked so hard for that money. She explained that she was caught up in the excitement and thought it was her big break. I couldn't hold back my frustration and ended up saying things like, "How could you be so stupid? You just threw your money away for no reason." She started crying almost immediately and told me she already felt terrible and didn't need me to make her feel worse. I could tell she was embarrassed and upset, but I was still so angry that I couldn't stop myself from continuing. I said something like, "This is exactly why you can't trust random people online. You should have known better." She cried even more, and I felt horrible for making her so upset. But at the same time, I couldn't shake the anger. She's been saving up for months to buy something she really wanted, and now all of that money is gone. I also felt like someone needed to get through to her so she wouldn't fall for this kind of thing again. Our parents eventually found out what happened, and they were mad at me for being so harsh on her. They told me I should have been more understanding because she's young and made an honest mistake. They think I should have supported her instead of tearing her down. I'm torn because part of me regrets lashing out and making her cry when she was already feeling terrible about what happened. At the same time, I feel that being firm was necessary to ensure she understands how serious and damaging this kind of mistake can be. Am I the bleep bleep for lashing out at my younger sister after she fell for the most obvious scam ever?